Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. If there's one thing that can guarantee to ruin your Christmas, it is Newcastle United, and they've just done that for most of us. But for most of you watching this, it'll be the first time we've seen you. So Merry Christmas. And Mark is with me, as you can see, for the live tonight.
Merry Christmas
it's been
indeed.
so bad tonight that Newcastle have drove me to drink. I've had double strong whiskey in here, and so does Mark as well. In the words of the OG True Geordie, does my drinking offend you? Yes, if it does, tune into another channel. And if swearing offends you, also tune in to another channel, because I'm about to go off on one of the most dismal performances I think I've seen this whole year from Newcastle United. We'll get stuck right into that in a minute, talk about the key moments of that game, if there was any, really, and we'll get stuck into the performance and a couple of players' performances in particular. Before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, smash subscribe underneath. Help get us to the next milestone. I think we're already 12,200 now, which is brilliant. So we're well on the way to our 13,000 mark, which is the next milestone. So thank you, everybody who has clicked that button. And we are live tonight. Jump in the chat. There's loads of you in there already. Got plenty to say, as do me and Mark. But let's get stuck in, Mark, with the lineup straight away. This is how we lined up. And surprise, surprise, unchanged by predictable Eddie Howe. We picked a different lineup. We'll get into that in a minute. He did not go with Johan Visser. He went with Nick Voltemada, who would actually put some of the monuments at Gray's Monument in Newcastle, some of the statues, to shame with his lack of movement in today's game. But we're going to get stuck right into that. Now, look at the state of the Manchester United side. I described that as the raggy dolls. Remember that TV show when we were kids? The raggy dolls that nobody wanted, threw in the reject bin. That was the Manchester United lineup. That's the worst Manchester United lineup I've ever seen in a Premier League game. That's the kind of lineup you see against Cambridge United away in the third round of the FA Cup. But they still managed to get the result against us, Mark. We'll get into kind of some key moments of the game in a minute, mate. But, I mean, we started the game. We had a bit of the ball. You know, we kind of were moving it around well. Manchester United were kind of banked in. And then there was a moment where I think Aaron Ramsdale goes down injured. And Gary Neville on commentary said that he thought Howe was trying to pull one to try and change the tactics. And we see it then change it and go man to man. And for about 10 or 15 minutes, Manchester United couldn't breathe for Newcastle, could they? But we just couldn't make it count. I mean, that's the story of the game. No. But to start with, that first ramp up of pressure, you know, was there, wasn't it?
I mean, it was. I mean, it was the initial moments of the game. Was sort of like the first 5 minutes. They thought Manchester United were a bit quicker to everything. They just looked first to every second ball. They were snapping into challenges. They were getting forward. But from about 6 or 7 minutes on, for the next 10 or 15 minutes, it was pretty much all Newcastle. It was all in the right direction. There was just no cutting edge again. And this is the kind of the same thing we seem to be have on repeat, isn't it? There's all the ball, but there's just nothing. There's nothing that comes of it. There's no away from home again, and it's almost rinse and repeat. We just see a side that just can't create clear-cut chances, and the stats today, you know, show that completely. There's one big chance in the entire game, and in that initial period, there's no cutting edge, bar the header that Bruno has cleared, which is a decent save by the goalkeeper. You would expect that to be saved. There's no cutting edge. There's too much slow play around the box. It's all very nice. It's all very methodical at times. There's not enough urgency around there. There's not enough movement to pull players out of the way and create gaps. We saw a bit of that later on in the game, and we'll get to that. But in that initial phase, and at home, it's completely different. There's an urgency to everything, but away from home, it's so lackluster at times, and there's no cutting edge to this side at all when it comes to playing away from St James's Park.
No, I mean, there's a cutting edge in the first half of games, but not in the second half, as we've seen against Chelsea last week. Dan's been a member for 20 months. He says, fucking shit. How out since last season? I mean, we'll get to the goal, Mark, as well. Leo's in the chat. Leo is a Manchester United fan, but he's a good one. Don't be too harsh on him in the chat, guys. He's a good guy. I'm sure he's enjoying that. But it was a bit of a smash and grab in many ways, because Manchester United were poor. I mean, they had chances throughout the game, but the goal comes in the 24th minute, which is probably the only real talking point from their point of view. They didn't really do much else. I think it's a corner comes out, isn't it? And it gets to the edge of the box. And
it was a long throw.
It was a long throw. Sorry, Christ. It was a long throw. Was it by Dallo, wasn't it? I feel like I'm watching Stoke. So a long throw by Dallo comes out at the edge of the box. And then Dorco gets a free shot off. I mean, being hypercritical, you can say that the two lads closing maybe don't move quick enough. I mean, it's a good strike, and it's out of nowhere because Manchester United are offering sweet FA at that particular time. So I think Newcastle just kind of fall asleep a little bit and don't expect the shot. But Ramsey and I think Bruno don't move quick enough. But I've got to ask you as a keeper, Mark, Ramsdale's getting some flack for this. He gets a hand to it. Should he save that?
It's tough. You're not, I suppose, as a goal, I guess you're watching a left back come across to hit it. You've got to be expecting it. I nearly said he's not expecting it. He has to be expecting it. He looks like he's lining up for a shot. He has to have himself set right to get into that. I've seen comments about players in the way, and it's pretty clear view
shot
for him. Really, it's not.
When you look behind the goal in the replay, he's got a clear view of that shot. He really
exactly.
has.
And I know there were comments about Cunha standing in an offside position, but he's not blocking his view. No. He's not interfering. I think he has to do. I mean, he gets to it, but he's got to do a little bit better for me. It's tough because it's hit so well. Fair to Dorgu, it's an unbelievable strike. But for one, I want that ball being chased down as soon as it's dropping. The two midfielders, Ramsey, I think, is the only one that really makes a concerted effort to try and get to it. Bruno sort of watches the ball go up, and then as it's starting to drop, moves. He just doesn't move quick enough. Nobody gets out to try and drop it to block it. But yeah, for me, Ramsdale, it's maybe he's a little bit hypercritical on him, but yeah, probably should do a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into some other comments here because we'll kind of just sum the game up really in probably one awful rant about how shit we were really. Daniel saying, cue the shit from Mongs who say we're only 6 points off 6. It's fucking shite and he needs to go. Obviously, the manager means there. The rot starts at the top. We don't play for an hour, and even when we do, we don't look convincing at all. I mean, the wingers were poor. The wingers got a lot of criticism from Sky, from Gary Neville in particular. Gordon, I'll get into Gordon in a minute. I've got some special words for Gordon, some special double whiskey and coke words for Anthony Gordon on a Boxing Day evening, I'll tell you right. Murphy kind of had a couple of moments, but a couple of moments aren't good enough in a game. You need to be more consistent than that. But he puts a nice ball in the first half that Nick Voltemade, the whole hour he played, he was so still. As I said, I thought a pigeon was going to shit on his head. The lack of movement from this kid was fucking unbelievable. If Nick Voltemade had played like that in the first 2 or 3 games for us, we'd have been thinking, what the fuck have we signed? You know, he has banged in loads of goals, but tonight wasn't the game for him. It was a game from movement. It was a game from ability. It was a game for Johan Visser to start, get 2-0 up, and then bring on Voltemade. The manager got that wrong. He picked the wrong centre forward, in my opinion. I know you said, Visser's not fit enough to start. If he's fit enough to give you half an hour or an hour, play him in the first half and take him off at half time. Get yourself in front of the game. Because if Harvey Barnes and Visser start that game, in my opinion, I think we're 2-0 up at half time. There wasn't enough cutting edge. There wasn't enough attack and running. There wasn't enough mobility in that team. And it was kind of perpetuated really by Gordon just struggling to beat his man in the first half. He seemed to be scared to take Dallow on. And I couldn't understand why. I mean, it's so funny because you can tell he's an England player because Sky talk him up like he's Ryan Giggs in his prime, and he's been dog shit for 18 months. Most Newcastle fans will tell you that. He shows up for the odd game. I think he's one of the most overrated players I've ever seen in a black and white shirt. He's done fuck all for 18 months. He hasn't got a Premier League goal in 26 games, and people are talking about him like he's one of the best 6 or 7 players in the division. He's fucking crap. And if I'm Harvey Barnes, I'm kicking off like fuck to the manager saying, there's a double whiskey and coke coming, by the way, F's and Jeffs. I'm kicking off to the manager saying, why am I not starting in this team? I'm getting you goals. I'm getting you assists. Why am I not starting this team? He's doing fuck all. And it was another performance from Gordon. The whole game, really, where he just did nothing. Murphy wasn't much better, but at least he put a couple of good crosses into the box. I thought Gordon was awful the entire game. Going into the second half, Mark, there's no changes until... When was the changes? God, was it like past the hour mark? It was like 65 minutes or something, wasn't it? When he brought on,
I've got them. Yeah, sorry, I was just looking up some stats
68 there, minutes. So, he brings on Visser, Barnes, and Joe Linton on the 60th. How Anthony Gordon finishes that game is beyond me.
No idea.
Mate. He was dog shit. I'll let you speak now because I've had enough of a rant about that floppy head, tennis-looking wanker.
I mean, it again comes that he's run around. His passing from minute 1 was awful. He lays a ball back, I think it's to Tonali in the first half, that's about 10 yards short and puts him in trouble straight away. His ability to, well, he did it second half. His ability to beat a man is there, but it's pure pace. And
all he does is run.
He no wouldn't do it or couldn't do it first half. And then second half, he sort of did it, but there was no real end product to it. His reading of the play is pretty poor. There was an overlap in the second half that I think Hall's a little bit slow to get round, but Gordon plays the ball without even contemplating where Hall is, and Hall hasn't even got past him yet, and he's played the ball pretty much to Diego Dallo. And it's just, again, it's another game where Anthony Gordon produces absolutely nothing. He's put in some crosses, but they've all been pretty terrible. There was the cut back that he pulled to Joel Linton that he stops and he hangs on to, and he's got ample time to have played that ball while the Manchester United players are moving backwards, so that Joel Linton had more time to either take a touch and then shoot or just hit it first time. He waits and waits and waits, then plays it when the Manchester United players are set, so that Joel Linton's only option then is to hit it first time. And it's a tame shot in the end, but it's a shockingly poor ball back. But it's just, again, another game where he's just done nothing. How anybody can continue to talk about him being a shining light of like the England side or English football is unbelievable, because he's done nothing. I mean, he was brilliant for 45 minutes at the weekend against Chelsea. That's the first really good 45 minutes we've seen from him in 18 months.
Yeah,
and Barnes must be absolutely kicking himself when you consider the run that Barnes was on, and those, the contributions that he had. Yes, the sort of the 4 goals within 3 games across the I think it was the 3 different competitions, and then he hadn't played particularly badly.
No.
And then all of a sudden he's yanked out of the team for a player that's produced absolutely fuck all for 18 months.
Look when he come on against Chelsea, nearly scored 2 goals. Nearly scored 2 goals against Chelsea. I mean, what the hell must this be doing for Barnes' confidence? I would be shocked if Harvey Barnes doesn't ask for a transfer, because he put one in last summer. Harvey Barnes, he put in a transfer request last summer. So I guarantee you he's putting in a transfer request in January, and he could go off to a Brentford or a Brighton or a West Ham or something like that and score probably 7 or 8 goals towards the end of the season. And that's on the manager. That a couple more super chats in. Dan Robinson saying, wrong team started, no plan B, no adaptation. Absolutely. Chippers is in the house. How can people defend Eddie Howe after that? They will do, Chippers. They will do, mate. But I'm with you, mate. I don't know how we can. No tactics, says Eddie, and UFC 90 time for Howe to go. Ian says, Merry fucking Christmas. Absolutely, Ian. Merry Christmas to you too. Daniel says, wish I hadn't bothered watching that. They're running every weekend this season. Where's the fight gone? Where's the energy? We walk around the pitch. That's one thing I noticed, Mark. There didn't seem to be a want to win the game. There wasn't a desire to win the game from the Newcastle players. Man of the match for me, hands down, is Lewis Hall. He has that crashing shot off the bar, but he always wanted the ball. He was up and down. He was getting in tackles. He was skinning players. Everything positive that came out of Newcastle came off Lewis Hall. But the maddest thing was, Lewis Hall hits the bar, and Lewis Miley gets a chance at the back stick and leans back and skies it. I thought Miley did all right again at right back. But, our best 2 goal scoring opportunities have come from our left back and our right back. And how much money have we got on that pitch in terms of attacking talent? You've got 69 million quid's worth of Nick Bottomada stood around like a fucking statue. Anthony Gordon's supposed to be valued at 70 million. Fuck all. Barnes came on the pitch, 40 million. Wissa, 55 million. None of them looked even close to scoring, but the full-backs did. Coming there from John, he's saying a super chat as well. Thanks, John. We look like a late period Southgate England side. Oh dear, that'll set you off, Mark. You don't remember the Southgate shakes you're getting again. Absolutely clueless around the box. Patterns of play predictable. I can't defend Howe anymore. I suppose we'll get into this, Mark. Man United nearly scored again the break, didn't they? I think it was who was it? Broke. It was a Dallo that skied it. I think it might have been possibly. Was it Dallo? You've gone mute, mate. You're on mute. You're muted. You're muted.
I've got the mic on, but for some reason I've turned it off in stream mode. There was 2, wasn't there? There was the Bruno lost the ball in midfield and it fell through to Sesko.
Sesko hit the bar, yes.
Gabby and Cher, who can see the entire field, is just standing there going, Oh, what's for Boxing Day tea
He
after
was
I get home later? What are you
Fabian
doing?
Scare. Fabian Scary
You
was
can
tonight, mate.
see Sesko standing there in an offside position. If you take it 2 steps forward, but he's completely asleep. Sesko gets through, rattles the crossbar. That should be 2. And then the ball over the top. And to be fair, I think the comms had this. It was on Lewis Hall because Lewis Hall does not read that well at all, and he just allows the ball to drop over. I don't even like them. I don't even like them. I
How
can't
can you not like
stand
Jaffa
Jaffa
cakes?
cakes.
How can you? Everybody in the chat is Mark mental for not liking Jaffa cakes. What is all that about, guys? Come on, give me the thoughts in the comments when you see these.
I'm getting some grief now. I'll bet. Yeah, no.
By the
Lewis
way,
Hall.
Before you mention, that is one of the most sensible comments I've seen in a long time. Howe has stagnated as a manager, and that team reflects that. I totally agree with that from Sean. Mark, I really do. I think he's out of ideas. I've said it a few weeks ago, and I'm doubling down.
I'll come to that. I was just going to say that the thing with the other chance, Lewis Hall just doesn't read I mean, Dallow, fucking hell, Dallow's getting through the middle like that runs in behind chair. Hall doesn't read it at all, and skies it. But the point on how, I mean, I think you're right. I've said it probably 1,000 times. You know, you've got to learn. You have to learn from the mistakes that you're making, And I thought first half, where we talk, we've bleated on about in-game management and the ability to change things on the fly as things go, and he went, "Yep, that hasn't worked in the first 5 or 6 minutes. I'm changing it." And brilliant to get the message on for Ramsdale to go down, and it's shithouse tactics. I love it, but I like that kind of thing.
Yeah. But that's what we need. We need a return to that. That's what made us good when we did stuff like that. Shithouse tactics.
But what for me that's one thing, and he has changed things. He's altered the way that Newcastle have approached it. The remainder of the game, it's same old. There's no plan of right. This isn't working. It is just a swap out of players into the same positions. There's no thing. Well, they've switched to a back 5 now because they've brought on Yoro, or they've moved players into different positions or things like that. They ended up with 6 at the back and stuff. Let's change things up. Let's do something a little bit different.
Yeah,
you had a substitution at your disposal. Stick the kid on. Stick sort of Neve on to give him some minutes and go over. There's no way they were gonna score again in that game. They had absolutely no interest in getting over the halfway line.
No,
get another centre forward on the field that can read the balls in the box and put some balls into the box, for God's sake, as well. And again, it was just there always seemed to be that total lack of urgency with things, and there was a little bit of it, but it was just poor decisions. It was poor passes at the wrong time, playing balls out of play, crosses behind players, which we've seen an awful lot of. There is no alternative plan if Plan A doesn't work. For me, and your point about Eddie Howe stagnating, I think you're absolutely bang on the money. I'm not entirely sure that there isn't a plan to go, well, if this isn't working in game. We've seen it pre-game where he drops to a 5 against Arsenal and things like that. That's a different scenario. But in game where things aren't working like this, to change formation, even to drop to maybe to 3 at the mid-game and things like that, where you could just get the wide players to stay wide, to stay forward, to get them to then put balls into the box. There's nothing like that happens. It's so samey.
We said this last week about Chelsea. Chelsea were getting back into the game. Enzo Fernandez was controlling the game. He did nothing. He made no changes. Maresca made changes to win, to get back in that game, and that's exactly what he did. I'll come back to Howe in a second. We've got a chat from Insanity there. Think Scrooge was a Newcastle fan. I'm understanding why he was so grumpy at Christmas. What the fuck is the Boxing Day record? I'm Howe out now. Pathetic. I tell you one thing and all of those Newcastle fans somehow managed to get down to that game. That fixture should never have even happened today. The Premier League and the TV companies need to sort themselves out, because to drag Newcastle fans, there'll be Newcastle fans driving back from this, not getting back home at nigh on midnight, probably in the pitch black, because some poor buggers had to drive. And that's a disgrace. You know, there's London fixtures that are getting played this weekend that you can get a tube to, or you can walk to the fucking ground. And the Premier League putting this one on Boxing Day because historically it's a big fixture. I understand Sky want the ratings, but piss poor. But what was even more piss poor was the Newcastle United performance. But what worries me the most about this manager, Mark, and that's why I can't understand the Kool-Aid swiggers and the happy clappers making excuses for this, right? If your eyes work anyhow, I wear glasses, right? You don't, right? Your eyes are supposed to be better than mine, right? If you can't see that Nick Votamada is losing the ball, is offering nothing in that entire first half of football, and nobody's reading his flicks, he's giving the ball away. His defensive header for the goal was fucking terrible as well. You know, if you can't see Nick Votamada is struggling in that game, I don't know whether he had a couple of more plates of pigs and blanket, possibly the big Nick, you know, maybe he was struggling a little bit with the old belly slosh, but he was piss poor. Gordon was poor. Murphy was poor. How he can't think to himself, I'm going to bring on Visser and Barnes right at the fucking halftime point to start this second half with a bang. And this is where we went wrong against Sunderland as well. We were shit against Sunderland in the first half. There were substitutions he could have made at halftime, and he didn't do it. He's too slow. He's too reactive. He's not proactive. And that pisses me off. And I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter what he's done. It's about what he's doing. Newcastle United are heading for a top 10 finish if they are lucky this season. We give away way too many points. We're not consistent enough. There's no fight. There's no desire. There's no hunger. You know, there's been a 19-year-old who's added the spark to our team over the last fucking 2-3 weeks. Where's all the big-time players, Mark? Where's all the big players showing up? Tonight, looked like you had the arse when he come off as well. That was a bit worrying, you know? What the hell's going on, mate? And what did Newcastle do to sort this out? What the hell did it do?
Yeah, I mean that's the $1 million question, isn't it? And I guess the obvious answer is to go, there's a change needed, and it's where you're into or coming up to a transfer window at this point. There are gaps in the squad still that need to be filled. There are, you know, there is lack of depth at fullback and things like that. But for me,
I guess goalkeeper as well.
The change we kind of need to see from them is a change in approach to things, particularly away from home. Home form, I guess you're not really concerned about, because it's not been so bad at home. I guess performances haven't always been there, but results have kind of come with it. But away from home, it's still only one win this season away from home. Every performance, bar Everton, has been pretty dreadful.
Awful.
Like you can argue the Villa one at the start of the season should win, but it's not a particularly good performance. They were better than Villa, but
Villa were off as well. Good. Villa started the season really badly.
Season dreadfully.
If you were ever going to beat Villa at Villa Park, that was the time.
Perfect opportunity.
Couldn't kick their own arse, and we didn't take advantage of it.
But since that, I guess since that Bournemouth game, it's been
dire
shit. I mean, it's 3 defeats on the spin away, then a win at Everton, then two defeats. So it's 5 defeats from 6. But for me, it's just the performance. It's the attitude away from home. It's the work ethic of the players in those away games. It's just not there. They're not putting in the effort away from home that you see in the home games. You're not getting the performance out of players. These are players at the highest level. The likes of what. And I've seen comments about, you know, Gordon's going through a bad patch. Bad patches don't last for 18 months.
Year and a half.
They don't last for a year and a half. 6 or 7 games, I can argue.
He gets such a free pass off the media, you know, and I'm a big fan of Craig Cope, as you know. I watch his channel. He's a top lad. I've met him a few times. Craig Cope's always talking Gordon up, right? And I know journalists like to keep sweet to certain players for interviews and stuff like that. I have got no reason to keep sweet to Anthony Gordon. He's been fucking crap for 18 months, and he's nowhere near the player that he thinks he is. He's not even fucking close. You know, Yankuba Minta's a better winger than he is. He got more end product and fucking shows up more in games. It doesn't matter who he's playing. He could be playing fucking Yeovil Town in the FA Cup. He still beats his man and runs at him. Or Liverpool, he still beats his man and runs at him. Because Gordon's lost that hunger. You know why? Because he thinks he's fucking made it. And he thinks he can pick and choose the games he shows up to. And because this manager plays these guys, regardless, you know, I was listening to some content the other day, and somebody said Howe picks people on form. No, he doesn't. He doesn't pick people on form at all. He picks people on reputation. He doesn't pick anybody on form. He starts players in this team who shouldn't be anywhere near his fucking team.
Yeah. I mean, Gordon would, if it was picked on form, Gordon would never have unseated Harvey Barnes on that side because Harvey Barnes was playing so well at the time. It's really difficult to talk about it because it is so frustrating to sit there and watch, and you go, it's the kid with a stick. Do something. Just something has to change in the way that you approach games. And in a game like this, Nick wasn't working. All right, try something different with him. Try to play to his strengths. Stick Whistle on with him. Play 4-4-2 in that sense. Get some balls in and around him into the box. Play him in that 10 role. Allow him to play his more natural position with a poacher ahead of him, because Whistle will read the ball in the box. He'll read he'll make those runs. He'll hang on the last shoulder of the defender. These are things that Nick Voldemort will.
But he won't do it because he's wedded to his one up front. He's wedded to his one up front, and he won't change and he won't adapt. And that's the problem.
But we are seeing from other sides now this thing where playing 2 or 1-1 withdrawn is much better, and it's been much more effective.
He won't.
He has to get away. No, he has to do something different other than just I'm going to swap out personnel.
Yeah. But he won't. He won't. He's a stubborn bastard, and he won't change. And this is the problem with Eddie Howe. You look at people like Hurtler, Glasner, even De Zerbi a few weeks ago when we played Marseille in Champions League. He changed tactics mid-game, and he done us. He beat us because he knew how to beat us. Eddie Howe won't change, and that's the most frustrating thing. And all the happy clappers and the Kool-Aid swiggers, look, I'll tell you something right now. If he hadn't won that cup, all them fuckers would be calling for his head if he hadn't won that Carabao Cup. That Carabao Cup acts like a force field to this guy, in terms of criticism. And I kind of get my head around. I'll praise him on his due and I'll criticize him on his due. Yeah. And not beating a ragtag bunch of fucking cut and paste Manchester United players is dreadful. Fucking dreadful. Couple of super chats in from Dricko. Thanks for that, buddy. Refusal to try anything new will be the death of this team. Same formation, like for like changes, intensity cleared is now identity. Howe out. Absolutely. He's not interested in any more of Eddie Howe. Jamie Zeppelin taking Murphy off when we bring Wisser on as a joke. Murphy was crying out for a finisher. He did put a couple of good crosses in, to be fair, and Wisser needs balls in the box. Is that he's stupid or what? He's not stupid, James. He's completely blindsided by his devotion to Anthony Gordon, even when he's doing fuck all. Honestly, if anybody was stupid enough to give us 60 million quid for Anthony Gordon, I'll drive him to wherever you want to take him. He's fucking useless. Absolutely useless. And he's saying time for the owners to show their intent and ship this stagnated manager out. The players, especially Gordon the Weasel, ain't turning up for him. I totally agree with that. Big super chat from My Coffee. Thanks, buddy. We had 46 crosses, 46, and we couldn't score. So where was Nick Voldemort then, Mark, if we had 46 crosses in that game? Where was Nick Voldemort?
No, they're not in a position for him to kind of get to. He doesn't. I said to you,
his movement was fucking terrible. Though. Don't give him a free pass, Mark. His movement was fucking awful.
I'm not. I think if you're going to play Nick Voldemort as the 9, then you have to give him the ball into the areas where he's strongest. However, there were 2 crosses or the 2 moments in that game where you go, I need you as the centre forward to read those. One was the Murphy ball across into that corridor of uncertainty.
He's nowhere to be seen.
He's on his heels. He's about a yard too far back. The second one is the Anthony Gordon one in the second half, where he pings it across the.
Gordon should do a bit better, though. He should hit the target.
Poacher, yes, he does. He absolutely should. But a poacher should be seeing that and going, if that misses, I'm on the end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's not. He's not that player.
He's not a poacher. No. He's not a poacher.
46 crosses screams to me, I'm slinging the ball in the box. I don't really know what to do with it.
Hopeful crosses, yeah. Rather than crosses with intent.
Something comes off.
Yeah. And by the way, before I get there to Obi's generous super chat there, Lewis Miley's the best corner taker we've got on that entire fucking team. Out of all the corners that came in, I thought Lewis Miley's were the most dangerous. Even Gary Neville. Gary Neville said that, and that's a guy who played behind David Beckham for fucking nearly 20 years. So he's probably a good judge of who can cross a ball. Nice super chat there from Obi Lee. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Hope you both enjoyed your Christmas. Mark and Chris send love. Well, we did until that one tonight, mate. But thank you very, very much, nonetheless, for the super chat. We appreciate that. Got another super chat in from is that Hospo Magrat? It's hard to read these, especially after double whiskey. Barnes must be pulling his hair out. Our informed or player informed player, and the only one on the same wavelength as Walter Marder gets 20 minutes a week. I can honestly see Harvey Barnes leaving this football club in January if Eddie Howe's still a manager. I think he'd be going fucking mad. Mark saying, would you trust Eddie in January? No, I wouldn't trust him at all. This one for you, Mark. When is Joe Willock ever the answer? Mark messaged me in the game and said, here's Joe Willock, the saviour. But I will say this, at least Joe Willock fucking put some effort in when he come on. He chased around, tried to win the ball back. He did a lot more than other people did.
Well, to be fair, in his brief cameo that he had, he did a hell of a lot more than Jacob Ramsey did. He got into more dangerous areas.
Disappointing Ramsey.
He's been really disappointing. His ability on the ball just isn't there as a ball player. He's another runner, I guess. And look, he's a good player, and I really expected more out of him for now. But to change a game, is Joe Willock ever the answer? I don't think it is. But you're right. He did put of everybody that sort of came on, he was probably the more lively of them. He certainly put in the effort. You can't knock him for that. It just doesn't have the quality, does he? And again, this probably comes back to just that lack of real depth. And there was all the, I guess, praise at the start when it's the extra players have come in. The Ramsey Chow's come in at the back, and there's Ramsey in midfield, the Langer wide, and there's extra depth. It's the quality of the squad's improved. It really hasn't. It feels really like the players that have kind of gone have just been replaced by players of exactly the same quality at this point, and we're not looking at. Apart from Malik Chow.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we lost arguably the third best striker on the planet and didn't replace him with anyone anywhere near the quality, unfortunately. Dricko, another super chat. Thank you. Very generous to you, Dricko. Very generous this Christmas, mate. Thank you very much. He's not stupid. He's stubborn. Picks his mates. Absolutely agree. Gallagher Brown, another super chat. Thanks, buddy. If I could think of a man available, I'd say Howe, but I can't. Any ideas? Sick of the ineffective generic triple sub on 60 minutes. It's so predictable, isn't it, Mark? You're almost like watching the clock, aren't you? I think Lady Sam from Toon Review calls it Eddie o'clock, I think, which is about right, isn't it? Because it seems to be the same shit every 60-odd minute. Yeah, there you go.
There's one of those in the chat. Just in time, I found it.
What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he was late this week with it as well. But
he was late.
It is very generic, and if it's not working, and we've seen it from plenty of managers, if it's not working the first half and you're not creating those chances, you're not really putting the opposition under pressure. And I said to you in the first half, it's all well, you have lots of the ball, you're just not creating chances.
The most important
part.
Was
it all fought and no shit, you said? I think
yes,
it was.
All fought and no shit. I think George said that in the comments too as well, which is exactly what it was. It was all kind of all huff and puff with nothing there.
Yeah,
but
change it at half time.
I'm looking at the sideline. I see him and Tyndall in deep conversation with each other, and I'm looking at them thinking, well, you're having a real deep conversation with each other. You've obviously been in football a long time, right? You should know what you're doing. You've done a great job at this club for a large part of your time being here. And like I just said to you before, how they can't look at Nick Voltemada and watch balls bouncing off of him and think he's not in this game. Get him off. Get Visser on. And if they don't think they can put Visser through any more than 30 minutes of football, then we're in trouble. Because if Nick Voltemada is completely ineffective or fucked, we don't have another plan. And I don't like it, right? I don't like it. But if that was the case, Voltemada was that bad, you could have took him off and put Gordon through the middle and Barnes on the left. As much as I don't like that, you could have done that and then brought Visser on for the 60-minute mark if that wasn't working. But he didn't do that either. And you're thinking, you wait and you wait and you wait, and then your window of opportunity is gone. Then he comes out after the game. I don't even need to watch it. It's the same shit every week. You know, we had good moments in the game, but that wasn't us at our best. We're disappointed in the goal. Defensively, we're better than that. We're not better than that, Eddie. We're fucking shit. We've been shit all season. So change the record, son, and come up with another fucking line. But the journalists let him off with a free pass. Loads of the fan base let him off with a free pass because he won the cup. And listen, that was an amazing achievement. We were at the parade. We know exactly what that achievement was all about. We weren't looking to be at Wembley, but we watched that game and we felt every kick like every other Newcastle fan did. But you cannot live on your past, accomplishments. You can't live on those past accomplishments for season after season after season when your team's struggling. We've had an awful summer transfer window. Let's get it right. Malik Chow aside, yes, Voldemort has started well, but you can see there's a lot of work to do with that player. But the rest of the players have been awful. Ramsdale's questionable in goal. Ramsey's been really poor. Wissa's been injured the majority of the season, so it's kind of hard to judge him. Alanga is awful. Fucking terrible. I mean, Squire Jimmy says here, never mind drive Gordon, he'd strap him to his bollocks and drag him to wherever he wants to be. So that just shows you what people think about Anthony Gordon. But, we'll get a couple more. We'll get a couple more of these super chats in before I get your take on just everything that's wrong with Newcastle, Mark. We could be here all night. We'll be one of them big Toon review shows, but it's 12 hours of trying to explain what's wrong with Newcastle. Another super chat from Graham Ritchie. Thanks, Graham. It's all very worrying. Nothing changes when things aren't working. Eddie's too stubborn. It'll be the death of him. The game cried out for Eddie to roll the dice against a shit Man U team. They were so bad. Not beating them's an embarrassment, and we should feel embarrassed as a football club. Stephen sent a comment there with super chat. Thanks, Stephen. Negative tactics. The body language of the players shows they know. He cuts a bewildered figure. Bringing Willock on is bleakly funny. And I don't think Bruno isn't pissed over Howe picking a fight. Yeah, I think that might be. I must admit, the whole thing with Bruno is a little bit concerned as well. One from Pont Mags. Thank you very much, buddy. We really struggle to attract top talent in January as a bottom half team. We will. That's why we need to go for younger players like a Keith Schmidt who thinks he might start in our team rather than be on the bench in a bigger team and try and sell him the dream. But it's very hard to sell a player like that the dream. And I'll come on to this in a second for you, Mark. People were really dead against a Mourinho coming in, right? But someone like a Mourinho has that star power draw. It's the name. It's the Mourinho name that draws players in because a lot of these players will look up to him as a football figure, and I know people say he plays negative football, but fuck me, what was that tonight? Never mind, Mourinho played negative football, but we might have won that 1-0 with Mourinho.
I mean, if negative football gets results and gives you a platform to build off, is it really that bad? It's not pretty. Yeah. I get it. I know it's not fun to watch at times, but if you're winning more games than you're not, it's a good platform to build on and then hand over to the next man to take it forward. This is a comment I wanted to kind of come to. Last 24 games, so it's 18 from this season, 6 from last season.
That's sackable form. That's sackable form, that.
If you take that, that's 1.25 points per game, which over a season of 38 games is 47.5 points.
Oh, what's that? Fucking 15th finish if you're lucky. 16th.
That's mid bottom half of the table. That's not, you're scraping just above the 40-point mark at that point, and that's not good.
Can you see this getting better under him? Can you see this getting better this season? With the fixtures that we've got ahead, I mean, we have got some more generous fixtures coming. We'll just put them up in the background and see what we've got. But we're not winning games that you'd think we'll win. So how anyone can think we're going to win these fixtures? I mean, you got Burnley on the 30th, then we've got Palace on the 4th of January, then we've got Leeds on the 7th of January, and then we've got Wolves on the 18th of January, and these are all just Premier League fixtures. I mean, so you're looking there, you're thinking, right, we could beat Burnley at Turf Moor, but could we? We could beat Palace at St James's, but could we? We could beat Leeds at St James's, but could we?
Yeah.
I'm really starting to wonder, mate, whether we could or not. I generally am for this team.
Burnley were tough. It's not a given. And especially
they got an equaliser against us at St James's, never mind at fucking Turf Moor, mate.
Exactly right. Palace have been really good. Away from home, I think they've been a little bit better as well, so that's not a given. Obviously, Leeds have been really good. All of a sudden, Dominic Calvert-Lewin decided he is a centre forward again.
He's scoring again, isn't he?
Then there's the gap of the cup against Bournemouth. I mean, there's got to be players rested for that, and I guess that'll probably be from both sides. So that could be an interesting 11 versus 11 for that one. Then home against City, which is always. I mean, Newcastle are always up for that. Is that at home against City? Have I got that the wrong way around again?
That's the Carabao Cup, though.
Is that the Carabao Cup?
Premier League. That's a Carabao Cup.
I've put that. That's why I looked at it and went, "That looks wrong." I put the wrong.
No, that's
the wrong competition on there.
I'm getting distracted. Then, everybody, with my podcat for once. My podcat is a kid for once. Look at that, everyone. Black and white as well, causing me distraction here.
But I think there's a couple of distractions in there with those games to go on the distraction point.
We'll go out in them games. City will do us over two legs, mate.
Yeah,
we're not getting past them. The Carabao Cup, not a chance.
Bournemouth, I think, will probably play a reserve side or a weakened side, I guess. Newcastle, I think, should make changes to that too. But you're then into, I mean, Wolves. Yeah, that has to be a win. No.
She's actually effective, Leo. She's effective, so she's not good.
But yeah, I mean, another couple of. I think we're getting to the point where, with the points return, another couple of poor results. If you a poor result against Burnley away from home and a poor result against home to Palace, does that turn everything? Is that the point in which the upstairs goes? We have to do something different now.
With that in mind, a comment there from Andy with a super chat as well. Do you think we could get Glasner?
Well, he doesn't look like he's going to sign
a new contract, is he?
A new contract at Palace. I think he's still severely pissed off about what happened in the summer. What does he bring? I guess. I suppose for
more tactical now.
Yes, I think they're at the level where you're in that bracket of being able to attract him. It's probably a step up in club size. He's won.
Can we get anybody bigger? Can we get anybody bigger than Glasner? We've got big. We got to remember, even when we were shit, we got big managers before. We got Rafa Benitez when we were shit. A big manager,
True.
big CV. So you can sell. You can sell the club.
I guess. Well, if it doesn't work out for Alonso at Real Madrid, there's one you could potentially look for.
100%.
I don't think you're certainly not pulling away a Nagelsmann at this point in time.
No.
That ship will not sail until at least next season.
Hurtler from Brighton, maybe.
Possibly, but would he jump? Would he jump now? It's difficult. Glasner's an easier argument because of the contract situation at Palace.
True.
But Hurtler, yes. But is he a step up from Eddie Howe?
Well, I've seen Hurtler change in game the way games go, and that's something Howe can do. Just a super chat as well from there's been loads of super chats now. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate all the super chats. Off Grind Designer saying EH was only hired to get us there. It's time to rehire. Seattle, Geordie's been a member for 6 months. Thank you very much, buddy. No, lads. Eddie o'clock is 70 to 75 minutes. Well, it's too late. We all agree with that. And Chippers has dug in for a super chat. Thanks, Chippers. Piff need to show some ambition and balls. Get a manager in who is proactive and not scared to make big decisions. Never a true word spoken there, Mark, on that, is there?
No, and actually, Toon Guru's just put a comment in here. As Amarin has been absolutely hounded since last season. Criticised all the way through for his refusal to change tactics. Now they've been better this season, but they've still been shit in games. They've won games. They've got away with things. They've had the rub with the green, but they've generally been a bit better. But when his refusal is to change things and things haven't been working, he's got dogs abuse off the media. You know, he's had entire sections dedicated to him on Monday Night Football and on Sky Sports News about how poor he is. And
we know why, but we won't say it. But we know why. We know why.
We do. But
we know why.
Where's that level of stuff for Eddie Howe when there is a clear, blatant refusal to do anything different and to try something different, to try and changed the direction that things have been going, particularly away from home. But all he gets is the backing of all the pundits. He never,
even in commentary, they said in commentary, they went, "Oh, well, he can't do any more." And I said, "Yes, he fucking can." That was Peter Drury saying that in commentary. It's because they think he's going to be the next England manager, so they don't want to criticise him because they want to be the England manager. They're actually hoping that Tuchel bombs, which is mental. But you already saw that from the press, that they want Tuchel to bomb so Howe can get the job. I'll tell you something, I'll do a swap. Give me Thomas Tuchel and they can have Eddie Howe. I think that's an upgrade for Newcastle. That's a proven winner. That's a guy that's won leagues in every country he's managed in. He's a much more experienced manager than Eddie Howe, and I think he'd be a great Newcastle manager. Just super chat there from Damien Bean 81. G'day, gents. Sorry for that, mate. Thanks for the therapy, much needed. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't a Steve
once again, apologies for that. It's definitely better than mine, I'll tell you that.
It wasn't too bad. Another super chat from LED. Let's see, 5,000. I feel like I'm reading a Star Wars droid. Do we really think PIF are in this for the long haul? But I do question that, Mark. I mean, we keep hearing that. Where the fuck are they? Like, this season's been rotten, in it, right? I mean, let's get it right. We probably won't get relegated this season. I think that's probably going to be a stretch, right?
That's a stretch.
But we ain't going to win out, and we ain't going to get Europe, right? So if Europe's the litmus test, if Europe's the measuring stick for this manager in terms of success in the job, then he's not going to get it. So he'll go at the end of the season, right? So what did it do? Did they go pull a trigger now, or do they wait until a manager that they think is a step up is available in the summer? I don't know. But in the meantime, you're going to lose all your best players because the likes of a Tonali and Gordon, as shit as he's been, they'll not want to play for a team that isn't in the Champions League, so they'll all bugger off, and then a new manager coming in is going to be shopping in a very different pool to a Champions League club. So do you not pull a trigger now and try to get the top 5 while you still got a chance? Or you just let the season plateau out? I don't know. It's a really tough, really difficult question.
I guess it depends on whether they've had those discussions in the background to see who they want, or is that person, is that manager available to them? Could they go and get them now if they wanted to? And if they can, do they risk another 6 or 7 games where nothing changes and you get 8 points from it, and there's just nothing that it is just ticking over and ticking over. There's another season out of Europe is a huge financial hit, and I think that by qualifying for the Champions League, by investing in the squad, I think there was the expectation that would be it. It would now be, yes, it might be Europa League one year and Champions League the next and things like that, but there's the expectation that at least they're in that fight. But at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be that. The points per game tell you that. As close as you look at the table and go, well, it's only 5 points to here, it's only 6 points to there, and it's only 2 wins, yes. But that's the same for everybody else, and those 2 wins are coming so sporadically that they're not. That doesn't give you the opportunity to then to build any sort of momentum and move on up the table as other teams lose games. So if 6 or 7 games come now and Newcastle don't win, and we talked the other week about there were 8 games coming now that would have been winnable. Well, we're 2 games into that at this point, aren't we?
Well, just 2 seconds. I'm just
and there isn't one win yet.
Yeah, I just want to address the other side of the argument here. So Brian is saying, short fucking memories are fans. Eddie has done effing excellent, nearly through to the next stage of the Champions League. Well, we're not through yet. We still need to win games to get through, so we're not through yet. In a semi-final again, we'll go out of that because Man City will beat us twice. Again, get a grip. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Brian, because we're not trying to eradicate what Eddie Howe has done for the club. As I said there, he's always going to go down as a legend for winning the Carabao Cup. But, I go back to Claudio Ranieri at Leicester, who did the most unbelievable thing I think a modern-day Premier League manager has done by winning the Premier League with absolutely no hope. There were 1,000 to 1, and Leicester City had to get rid of him because this exact thing was happening at Leicester. They were losing games. They couldn't pull together. They had largely the same amount of players, the same players that they had. I think they only lost Mane and Kante and Mahrez. They only lost those two players. Everybody else was still there, and they nosedived, and then they had to go get another manager. It didn't quite work, and then they got Brendan Rodgers, and they got back up into the top kind of 5 or 6 and won in the FA Cup. So whether you like it or not, this happens in football. Eddie Howe is not going to suddenly be Newcastle United manager forever because he won the Carabao Cup. That's not how football works. You're not judged on what you've done. You're judged on what you're doing. And whether you agree with that or not, or think that's unfair or not, and it is a little bit unfair, but just because you've won a Carabao Cup doesn't mean that you're completely infallible and devoid of any criticism, especially when games are slipping away from you. We've lost 13 games where we've been in front this season. No other team in the Premier League has lost that many games, lost that many points, apart from Brentford, I think it is. And we have not controlled games. We've not stood up in games. Our big players aren't performing. And this is supposed to be the best Monday to Friday on the grass man manager in the game. So why are the players not performing? So yes, he does deserve criticism. And if you want to go and blow kisses to your Eddie Howe poster, crack on, mate. But football fans will judge a manager if he's not winning football games, and that's the truth. So sorry, Mark, I just wanted to address that.
And look, I completely get the argument that he's done a brilliant job. Cannot ever deny the fact that Eddie Howe has done an amazing job for Newcastle from the day he walked through the door. But are you happy with the last 24 Premier League games? Are you happy with the performances that you've seen outside of City and Everton? And first half against Barcelona, I'll take Barcelona out because it was the Champions League, but the Liverpool game, which was kind of glorious defeat. Outside of that, what is he exempt from any criticism for the performances that the players are putting in on the field? Because ultimately they're his players that he's putting out on the field. He's setting them out. He's setting them up for the games that they're playing. He's picking the side. So is he exempt from that criticism for that? Is he exempt from criticism for the last 24, 25 games because he's done such a wonderful job beforehand? Does he get that length of time to...
And he shouldn't expect to be. He shouldn't expect to be. And he doesn't. Absolutely. As a professional manager, he does not expect to be exempt from criticism. If we're not winning games, he knows that falls on him. That's the life of a football manager. Whether you agree with it or not, that's the life of a football manager. That's the way it happens. It's the same. If you're a manager of a hotel and somebody staying in room 230 thinks the fucking room smells of shit because the cleaner hasn't cleaned it properly, it's the manager who gets the shit because they're the person who runs the hotel. That's the way the world is. You can't just excuse Eddie Howe of criticism when the team isn't doing very well. I don't buy it. There's a weird cult following to this manager, and I can understand it, right? I can understand it, but for me, I don't think it's justified. I don't think it's justified. Not with the way the season's gone. I'm sorry. I really, really don't.
The other question I would ask to that is, at what point is too far?
Yeah.
Because there comes a point where you've gone too far beyond the line that
John thinks he's took us as far as he can.
Yeah. So. And this is the point. You reach your ceiling or you get to the point of no return. And at what point is that? When does it become okay to criticize? When does it become to say a change is needed?
Yeah.
Where's the line?
Let me answer this quick question from Liam, right? I've never known a Newcastle manager to get as much protection. So not even Keegan got the level of protection that Eddie Howe has got. I've never seen anything like it, Liam. I never have. Yes, he won the cup. And yes, he took over from a time that was really difficult as Newcastle fans, where we were so shit under the Ashley era. We really, really were. But being that shit under the Ashley era doesn't make it okay that Howe's making massive mistakes. That should not be allowed to go uncriticised. It really, really shouldn't. Kevin Keegan was the guy who saved Newcastle United from oblivion, and he got criticised. But this modern day era is that, a manager wins a cup and that's it. He's won the first cup in 7 odd years or whatever. And, no one's ever going to take that away from him. No one's ever going to take that away from him. But he still has to win football games. He still has to have a good track record of winning football games and showing progress on the pitch. And he's just not doing it.
Yeah, I think there is the stagnation is the right word. That point in which we've stopped seeing progress, and at the moment, everything seems to be going the wrong way. There's the odd performance that gives you hope. The City performance, the Everton performance, the performances in Europe where you go, if you just harness that and take that back into the Premier League. But the Premier League, they just seem to be falling over themselves, particularly away from home. And it's just, like I said, at what point do you go, enough's enough? And I've said a couple of times recently that I was close to being there, and I'm still. I think you've always got that real hope in you that yes, you can turn it round and make it better and learn from what you've done. And I keep saying that. I keep saying he has to learn from making those mistakes, and he has to learn to change things. Just still not seeing it. And again, you say it's coming really quickly if that doesn't change. And he's going to have a monumental run to kind of turn this season round in terms of the Premier League, because, like I say, everybody else is sort of doing. It's one of those weird seasons again where teams are beating all over the place, but Newcastle just don't seem to be able to put that run together. So he's going to need a really good run to get through that.
Not going to happen.
Doesn't that line's coming up quickly? It really is.
It's not going to. That team's not capable of going and running, and the players have got to take some blame for that. There's no doubt about it. But if they're playing for the manager and they want the manager to keep his job, then they need to really start shaping up and sorting themselves out, because they're not playing well enough at all. They're getting shown up. These international, Brazilian international, Italian international, England international, German international players are getting shown up by 19-year-old lads who play for the under-21s. And that's not good enough. I just banned Brian from the comments there because I think he was getting a little bit uppity there in the comments. I've seen a few little aggressive tones from there, so he's been flicked. You know the rules, Brian. Don't act like a prick or you'll get the flick, mate. That's generally how it works. But for me, I just cannot see. I cannot see improvement in this team. I cannot see, as Dean says there, Howe peaked a long time ago. Players have stalled, waiting for a new kickstart. There's some of the players on the pitch as well. You look at some of the players on the pitch, right? Like Fabian Schär, is nearly 34 years old. Trippier's 35. That's why he's still knackered and he's not fit still. Burns 33. Joe Linton's 30 now. Jamal Lascelles, people still talk. I can't believe Jamal Lascelles is still at the football club. He has not rotated the squad enough. He's not moved players on and refresh the squad enough. So the natural consequence of that is it does grow stale. And I think we've just got to a point now where I always say, when Buns came in, the intensity dropped off. And I still think part of that's true. But I also think the players just don't have it in them anymore to be that intense and play that way, because a lot of them are just, they're getting older. They're not as physically fit as they used to be. They can't play that style of football without burning themselves out. And the likes of Gordon, the reason Gordon's dropped off a cliff is because he thinks he's better than he is. He thinks he's fucking Ryan Giggs in his prime or something. He couldn't lace Ryan Giggs' boot. I'm not talking about Ryan Giggs as a footballer if anyone jumps in the comments about the other shit.
I'm not sure he'd find Ryan Giggs' boots at the moment.
Exactly. So Anthony Gordon's not the player that he thinks he is, right? But who's managing his ego? Why is Howe not pulling him and saying, listen, you're not fucking turning up here. You need to sort yourself out, And apparently that's what he did to Alexander Isak last season. And I give Howe credit for that. When Isak down tools after he fell out with Mitchell, Howe got moving again. That's brilliant from Eddie Howe, but we're not seeing that anymore from this manager. The magic that he had seems to have disappeared. And that's the concern. These players aren't responding to that style of management anymore. And whether you like it or not, inevitably in football, that's when a manager gets changed. And that's how things get refreshed. Aston Villa did it. Spurs have done it on several occasions. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it's not. Manchester United have done it. Liverpool have done it. You have to do it. Chelsea do it. This is modern day football. If a manager looks like he's not getting out of the team what he should be getting to, it doesn't matter what he's won. I mean, Chelsea sack managers when they win the league or the fucking FA Cup or the Champions League. They still sack their managers. We're still talking about this Carabao Cup thing. And I get people wanting Eddie Howe to turn around. Listen, I want Eddie Howe to turn it around, Mark. You want Eddie Howe to turn it around, right? I would love nothing more than to sit at the end of the season and be top 5 and everybody in the chat tell me I was a wanker for doubting Eddie Howe. I'd love that. Absolutely love that, because He's impressive, he's articulate, he's intelligent. He's the opposite of what we used to have as a manager at this football club. But whether you like it or not, this club has moved up to a different level now of expectation. And with that comes a heavy burden on the manager to perform. And he's not performing right now. It's the truth. He's not.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I think if things don't, I don't think the form, the way that performances have gone that he would last if that continues. Look, if there's a defeat against Burnley, a defeat against Palace, you're on the ropes at that point, and things are quickly going the wrong way. But you cannot be happy as a club to look at this and go, over 2/3 of a season, of games covering the back end of last season and this season, that you're only just above a point a game. It's just not good enough. And you as the manager, you've got to take that on the chin and change things and do something to change it. It's not just about it's not just going to be a riot act in the dressing room where some managers would have that effect. Obviously, Eddie Howe doesn't seem to have that. I don't think he would have that effect, or he has that in his locker. Does the January window change things? If the squad is refreshed slightly, if there is 100 million to spend on players in January, does that change things? Does that refresh things? But ultimately, for me, it's got to be a case of in order to change this, he has to change his approach to games. He has to change his tactical approach and his in-game approach to things. He has to do something different. He really does.
Chippers, right? Cue the apologies on social media yet again. I know. As Phil says there, fuck their apologies. I don't want an apology on social media. Stop putting it on. Fuck that shit. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, I'm Your one of your last comments on social media was just do your apologies, do your talking on the pitch. Leave everything out there. If you leave absolutely everything out on the pitch and you come off absolutely dripping and you've given every, if you still lose at that point, then fair play. The opposition have been better than you, probably deserved it more. But if you haven't, I don't want to see you on socials giving an apology for how poorly it has performed. I want to see it put right on the field. Talk's cheap. Go and one action.
Well, it's the same shit every week. Another super chat from Drico. He says, Gordon has the ego of Gareth Bale, but plays like Loire at the moment. Cher's time is gone. Murphy's one-dimensional, and Tonali's a shadow shy. Mark's nearly choking his drink there. But Tonali wants away. I've said that for months now. Tonali wants away. I think Tonali's had enough of this. I think Tonali realises we're not going to get the Champions League. I think he's already angling for his next move. Part of me doesn't blame him in many ways. He's up there with some of the best midfield talent in the world. And he's probably looking at the way the team's playing, the lack of tactics, the way games are slipping away. And he's probably thinking, fucking get me out of here. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, the whole move from Milan was very weird in the first place. I don't think he really wanted the move. I don't know whether Milan sold him a cash in and before they knew he was getting banned. I said that at the time, didn't I? And I still think there's an element of truth in that, really. But it's weird, though, because, again, there's no point talking about a new manager because I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Not until the end of the season, I don't think. I think we're stuck with Eddie Howe for the rest of the season. And I don't think we'll go down. But we're certainly not going to win a cup, regardless of Brian's blind faith before he was flicked out of the comments. We're not getting past that Man City side. Not that Man City side this season, the way they're playing. No chance. Not happening. We don't have the quality. We don't have the belief. We don't have the discipline, the game plan. We'll get beat over two legs easily against City. So we're going to go out of that competition. I don't think we'll get past Bournemouth in the FA Cup either. To be honest with you, Howe always struggles against Bournemouth. I don't think we'll get past them either. So that we'll go out of both the cup competitions, and I think we'll be lucky to finish top 10 because that league is going to break away soon. There is going to be gaps forming in that league soon. When teams start getting their heads down, get a bit of run, there might be some January transfer business that helps teams win games that they weren't winning before. I don't think at the minute we're as appealing to a player who can come in and do something like that unless we happen to get one out of the blue, which, let's be honest with you, what our team needs right now is creativity. Somebody who can split the lines with a pass, somebody who can get the ball and do something out of nothing. We don't have those players in that squad. And even if we did, Howe wouldn't play them because he wants runners. He wants somebody who runs and runs and runs and runs. He doesn't want a player who drops his shoulder, skins 3 players and smashes one in the top corner, wins you the game 1-0 or 2-1. He doesn't want that player. He wants athletes, doesn't want technicians. So where does that take you as a football team? Where does it take you? I've just no
There's
idea.
a ceiling to it. And sooner or later that gets found out because you get the technicians that pass around. And you've got to have a mix of both. You have to have athletes and technicians on the field, and especially at the level you're expecting to be at, getting in and around that box. The athletes don't do enough. They might do enough as almost a shock factor. And I think a lot of there's some of that possibly gone on in the past. But ultimately, you need technicians. You need to be ability in a game like tonight where you have 600 and something passes in the game. You have to be able to create 600 and something passes in the game and one clear-cut chance.
Your best chance is your left back hitting the bar from fucking 30 yards or something like that. It's just...
I think that possibly the three best chances is that one, Miley, and Gordon's that he puts across the face. Sorry, Bruno's as well. They're not clear-cut chances though. They're not
the half chances.
Gordon's possibly was the only one. But if you've got that much domination of the ball, it's not even a case of they're trying to walk the ball into the net like the old Arsenal side used to get accused of doing. They're not even shooting. Hall was the only one that went, fuck it, I'm going to have a go.
Yeah. And the thing is, if that had screamed in, it would have just saved Howe's blushes, really. It wouldn't have been like we were brilliant in the game. Do you know what I mean? It just, he was the best player on the park for us, Lewis Hall, no doubt at all. But it just... It can't go on like this. Or Mick McCarthy would say, it can.
It can.
To be fair, it can. Because that seems to be the way it's going this season. I mean, if anybody thinks that team is going to finish in the top 7 this season, I don't understand where your belief's coming from, because we can't control games that we go ahead in. We sit back against way too many teams. You know, we lose control of the ball in midfield. We give it away a lot. Our goalkeepers are shaky. Both of them are shaky. Let's get it right. Our defense outside of Malik Chow, Botman's held together with fucking sticky tape. Cher is getting very old and slow, and these ridiculous risky passes that he makes now are getting cut out by people and putting you under pressure. Dan Burn, he's a gladiator and all that, but we know he lacks pace. So anybody up against him with a bit of pace and a bit of movement, we're in big trouble. I mean, Kraft's fucking knackered. Lascelles shouldn't even be at the club. He won't give youth a chance. Livramento's injury prone. Hall's had bad injuries. Who's still going to be class. And he's still a class player. And then you look at the midfield. I keep hearing we've got the best midfield in the Premier League. Joe Linton's either injured or off form most of the time. Tonali, again, looks like a player whose head's turned and wants to go. Bruno has been good this season. I'll give him that. But at times he overplays and puts you under pressure. Lewis Miley's had to force his way into the team at fucking right back, not midfield. Jacob Ramsey looks like a bad signing. Willock shouldn't even be at the club anymore. Should have been sold windows ago. And he won't give any of the young lads a chance. He won't give Song Soo a chance. He won't give Harrison a chance. He won't give, these other young lads a chance that are in the squad, in the development squads. Are just weird, man.
Well, I said there's the perfect opportunity with the dominance of the ball and the way things are going tonight. Just throw Neve on for the final 5-10 minutes and just go out and make yourself a nuisance. Get yourself in the box, and we'll try and get you the ball. Like you've got a substitution left. Just try it. There's no point in keeping four defenders on at that point, because it's just not going to work. Get everybody forward. You drop one at the back and you put another centre forward on, and just try it. But throw the kid on. Like, he's not going to do any worse, is he? Do you know what I mean?
He won't. But he won't. He's just he's nuts, man. It's so weird because I really feel like we're at a turning point here in this new modern day Newcastle United since this takeover. When the club was bought, we were relegation fodder. The club was saved from relegation, and then Howe massively overachieved and got us in the Champions League, which was brilliant. And in Howe's 4 seasons he's been here, when you look at it on paper, saves from relegation, brilliant. Got us 4th, got us 7th, got us 5th, right? And you go, Howe, that's really, really good. But this season, the drop-off has been so bad in terms of the way this team is playing. The only reason we're not further adrift is because the Premier League itself is shit this season, and everyone seems to be losing games. If the Premier League was a bit more with it, we'd possibly be sitting in 17th position or 16th position, and would be 6 or 7 points away from even getting in the top 10. It's frightening. But there is a massive chunk of the fan base that will never criticize Eddie Howe. That's why I don't go on social media anymore. Don't go on social media anymore at all, because not interested in it in terms of the Evermore social media feed. I look at my own personal social media, but I don't even post about Newcastle anymore. Certainly on X, because it's just vile. Because you just get jumped on by bedwetters and happy clappers having a go at you because this guy won a trophy, last season. And yes, he's had a great track record on paper, but come on, let's not piss around. As a football fan, you can see something's not right, Mark. Can you not? Surely, man.
That's what I said before. If you still believe, and you're absolutely dead set against the criticism of the manager and the questioning of his job, where's the line? You cannot be happy with the last 24 games in the Premier League. You cannot be happy. It's papered over by some of the performances in the Cup, and in the Champions League, which have been brilliant. But 24, I can't get over that fact. 24 games, 30 points from 24 games is just it's for a side that made the Champions League and ambitions to stay there. 30 points from 24 games is just an awful return, and is the sign of something that's wrong. Because then it's not a bad patch. That's consistently poor results. It's consistently poor approach to the games, and we've seen consistently poor management in those games. There's a pattern developing with this, and it he either turns it around now, or the door's coming. It has to, because it cannot continue to carry on in the way that it's happened. It's carried on since the back end of last season, and for the upstairs bods to go, yeah, we're happy just to see this through. You've given up on the season. Spant Mags there. Come on, Mark, you're nearly there. I am, because it's
getting close.
I want to believe that he can turn it around. I want to believe that after everything I've seen from Eddie Howe over the last 4 years, we've seen him go through bad patches where there's been a spell of 5, 6, 7 games that have been poor. This is now well beyond that. But there comes a point where you just have to for the
Mark has frozen now.
Thanks for your service. You've been fucking amazing. But we have.
You froze again. You froze again there.
You have to say, "I've gone again." So
no, you're back. You're back now.
You have to get to. You have to get to a point and go, "Thanks for your service. You've been fucking amazing." But we have to change things. We have to do something different now, because we have to move on. We've got to kick on from where you've got us to. You've got us to a point. We have to go beyond that now.
So just a quick one before we go tonight, guys. There's 595 of you still alive, I think. Just drop me a little comment there. Drop me a little comment and say, where do you think we're going to finish this season? I'm going for 10th is what I'm going for. Mark, what are you going for?
8th.
On the spot. Get off that fence. You think 8th still for Newcastle United? 8th. But that's still not European football, though.
No. I think it's a season without. At that point, it's a season without European football next season. Yeah. But 8th is mine.
Yeah. A few coming in there. We've got 13th from Drico. We've got 11th from NUFC Adar. We've got 13th again from Ex-Bolty. We've got 12th from Flange Batter. Love that name. Liam
name.
says 8th as well. That's brilliant. Flange Batter. I must say Yorkshire accent. Oh, Flange Batter. Jack Jarrett 15th. That's a great name. There's a little Bo Selector there, wasn't it? I can imagine that. Oh, me crab paste. 11th from Alistair. 10th from Anthony. 12th from J6FDR. John says 14th. What else we got? Keep scrolling down this list. FS says 8th as well. Deep Thinking says 12th. See, none of us are talking about top 5. That's for damn sure. I think that's well gone. Ty says 9th. That's nearly, well, yours is the highest yet. Stuart says 10th as well. Phil is well down in the dumps. Phil is down to 16th, I think, is Phil. What a shot by that there. A shot by
Where
that.
are you?
Oh, someone's got a 5th. Someone's got a 5th. There we go. Rob Caven Photography's on 5th there. Mark is 8th. We got Robert is 14th. Gilly is 14th. Where was the other one I had there before?
I'm going to bring one up, and I want a pint of what this lad's been drinking. Andrew, I admire your optimism, man. I really do. I really do.
The next comment goes.
Tonight?
The next comment says "from bottom." That's the next comment. That's what it is. He's getting his there. He's getting his there. Squire Jimmy says.
I'll have a pint of what Dean's drinking as well.
Second from Dean. So I had Squire Jimmy there. Squire Jimmy was saying, what was he saying? 12th? I've lost it there. I've lost it now because you.
Sorry.
Where are we going? We're getting too many comments in. We'll go for there. I've lost it. I've lost you, Squire Jimmy. There you go. Squire Jimmy says, Howe stays 12th, Howe goes 7th. Ooh, that's interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, but I think a lot of us are pretty much given up on the top 5 spot, I just think that we're too far adrift. I honestly do think at the minute, if we were to change the manager and get a level up manager, which don't ask me who that is, because I generally don't know in the world of football right now who that manager would be. Unless you maybe pay compensation to get somebody, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's happened before to do that with clubs where you pay compensation to get managers out of jobs, so that can happen. But I don't think without a new manager bounce, we see this team finishing 5th. I just don't think they've got it in them. I don't think the players have got it in them. I don't think the manager has it in them, and I just think unless you have a real shake-up. But it's always a case, and it pisses me off with footballers, because the same players who are shit and can't kick their own arse for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, all of a sudden a new manager comes in, and it's like that, isn't it? It's like that. You know, your wingers are running faster and harder, your strikers scoring goals again, your goalkeepers keeping clean sheets, your defenses defending, and you go, well, where was this 2 or 3 months ago? But you know what? All the football fans forget all about that. And they just concentrate. Well, he's the man. He's turned it around. But Newcastle fans, a lot of us seem to think we're exempt from all of that because this guy won a cup. And I can't get my head around that. That's not the way football works. That's not the way the world works. If you don't perform as a football manager, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean it is as simple as that. And you may have, as Ranieri did, you may have won the Premier League for a side that was never ever fancied to win the Premier League. Doesn't mean your job's safe. You don't perform, you're in trouble. And football is a fickle world, and we're all fickle football fans. We're never quite happy, are we? No. We do live week to week. But yeah, he's getting to that line. I've said it a few times. He is getting to that line now where is there a return from it?
Now that's like. I saw a funny rumor about Klopp a few weeks ago. I didn't really believe it, but I don't think Klopp would come back to England because of the Liverpool connection. No. I don't think he would. But everyone's got a price. If the PIF threw the most ridiculous amount of money at Jurgen Klopp that he's ever seen in his life, I mean, let's be honest with you. How many times did we say that guy will never go to the Saudi League? He's in the prime of his career. He'll never go play in the Saudi League. And then the player goes and plays in the Saudi League. So if the PIF were really that ambitious and wanted to go and throw the biggest amount of money that Jurgen Klopp has ever seen in his life at him, you know, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility.
How incredibly funny would it be to see the Liverpool fans' reaction if that was to happen?
Do just for that
dine
alone,
out on it
happen
for weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, just do it just for that. Just for that. That's it.
I mean, MFS has done about Xavi. I don't actually rate Xavi as a manager. I don't think he's been all that good, to be brutally honest with you.
I thought you were going to say as a player then.
Nearly, my God, of course I do. Of course I do.
You need to quit.
I meant Xavi Simmons. No, I don't really rate Xavi as a manager, but Xavi Alonso I do. And I think the reason it's gone a bit funny for Xavi Alonso at Real Madrid is because that's one of the most volatile football clubs you could ever imagine. And the problem is with Real Madrid, a lot of the times the players run the club, not the manager. And I think if the players want you out, you're out. Especially if they're deemed the stars, the Galactico players. I look at Vinicius Jr. and he's got to be one of the biggest frauds I've ever seen in world football. He does absolutely nothing. And people still, idiots like Rio Ferdinand show, Ballon d'Or. He's one of the most overrated players I've ever seen in my life. He really is. Next to Anthony Gordon.
But them in the same bracket. Fucking hell.
That's the only time I put them two in the same fucking bracket. But yeah, one thing's for sure. We'll wrap it up here. But one thing is for sure is it's not going very well for Newcastle at the moment. That was a patched up, weak Manchester United team tonight that Newcastle had the team to beat and should have beat. They had enough of the ball to make it count, and they didn't make it count. They didn't take their chances. They didn't create clear-cut chances enough to win that game. The manager didn't make enough positive changes to win that game against a poor Man United with a manager who's been very criticised for his lack of tactical nous and setting up a team and everything else. They were missing their best players, and we just handed them the game. And really, really, really disappointing. Really disappointing me. But I think that's all we can say to wrap that up, I think, really, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right. You said it there, against a depleted side that is without Brian Mbeumo, without Ahmad, who's been their best player for probably a year and a half, without Bruno, who was injured, with a centre forward that realistically can't kick his own arse at the moment. Now was as good a time as any to go to Old Trafford and win, and they've shot themselves in the foot massively.
Very poor, very poor. But anyway, thank you very much for all you wonderful people who joined us tonight. We've had cracking numbers on the watch, the live stream here, so I really appreciate that. But if you haven't already, smash subscribe, help get us to the next milestone. I'll try and compose my thoughts and do a bit of an aftermath to this game, potentially go out tomorrow. We'll be back for the preview for the Burnley game, and then back for the live post match after Burnley when Newcastle have another chance to turn it around. But at the minute, who the hell knows what Newcastle are going to do, because they're not particularly predictable, are they? In terms of what you're going to get from them. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a belt. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day, and we'll be back before New Year. See you later.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Celebrate. They have done it.